Podcast. I'm here with Andy, his other co-host. Robert's not with us today, so it's just going to be me and Andy. But we'll get you guys going here. And today we're going to talk about the market research of when you're starting your business. It's not focused on making a business plan. That's for banks and loans and all that stuff. We're going to talk about making a plan for your business. So highly important to start out with a plan for your business so you know where you're going, hopefully learn from some mistakes that we've made, and get you guys on the right track. So again, I'm Mike, and we run a successful farm here, 17 racks. Just added 5 more racks. Hopefully we're going to fill that up with production here too. And so we'll be up to 22 racks, and we've ran a successful business for the last 3 years. And Andy, you can give a little brief info about yourself. Let any new viewers know about you.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Andy Musaw. My wife and I operate a farm called Fresh Source Farms in Elkton, Maryland. We've also been in business for about 3 years, growing heavily over the last year. We started at 1 rack originally, and we're up to 30 at this point. We actually have 12 racks ready to go in our garage, just waiting for the opportunity to be filled. So we're in a 2,000 square foot facility now. We're trying to work on getting into at least a 3,000 to 5,000 square foot facility to be able to grow our farm even more. So yeah, we've had a very successful run so far, and we'd love to help you guys, get where we are. So, and happy Father's Day to any of you fathers out there for sure. Hope you guys are enjoying your day.
Definitely happy Father's Day to Andy, I guess myself, and any other fathers out there. And thanks for tuning in on Father's Day, if you are a father. And just to let you guys know, here in a second, we will have membership gifting. I will be up. Jess will be doing Oz in the background there. We'll do a membership giveaway. So if you have that allow on to be able to accept memberships, we're going to do 5 memberships we're going to give away. So make sure you have that click to be able to accept the memberships, because we will be doing a private live stream here in the next couple of weeks just for members. And members will always get the videos first, any new videos we post that are not live. So be ready for that. And you get your questions answered first in our Q&A at the end. So jump on that. So let's talk about operations and growth. When you're setting up your schedule and everything else for your productions, for your growth, for your operations, you want to make sure you're setting up and establishing a plan to consistently get fresh microgreens. So most of these crops take 10 days to grow. So if you're planting on a Friday, they're going to be ready not the next Monday in 3 days, the 10 days following. So the next Monday. Which is our schedule that we do. So every Friday we're planting, every Monday we're harvesting. So you're always got something in germination for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday it comes out of germination as you're pulling the stuff off the shelf. So you're just replacing basically what you already put on there. That's how we set up our production and our schedule. Andy, I think, is doing multiple plantings and harvestings. So it might be a little bit different for you, Andy. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So we have crops that grow anywhere from 7 up to 35 days. It's a wide variety. So it's kind of a mess. I mean, we have basically sections of our farm that we have set aside that are actually date driven. So essentially when we pull things out of blackout or out of weight, then we actually move them into the date section that they're going to be in on harvest day. So that way when harvest day arrives, we know exactly what we need to do. So at the moment we're planting, Sunday, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, that's it. So we're planting like 5 days a week, I guess. We're harvesting on Wednesdays and we're harvesting on Fridays as well for Thursday and Saturday deliveries. So we deliver to our grocery stores, our restaurants, all of our commercial clients on Thursday. So that way they've got fresh microgreens for the weekend. And then our residential deliveries we do on Saturdays because it's just the best time, to catch people at home potentially, drop their stuff off. So that's why we harvest on Fridays, so just we're only harvesting their stuff. And it also helps kind of spread out, a lot of harvesting, as you guys I'm sure are familiar with, on your end as well, Mike, that, when you're doing everything in one day, it's a lot. So it's a whole lot easier to be able to break it up into 2 sections. So even though it's a little more hectic as far as keeping track of everything, it's a whole lot easier when harvest days arrive for sure. So, but yeah, we used to do same day harvest and delivery and same day, everything else. And then we've had to get to that point where we had to do it the next day. Maybe just get too much. It's not possible.
Yeah, we harvest on Monday and deliver on Tuesday and Wednesday. And obviously we go to the market, but that stuff's still good. It's in a walk-in cooler. It's going to be fine on Saturday, no problem.
Yeah.
So, but that's how we set it up. So delivering that 24 to 48 hours, you're fine. If you're doing harvested microgreens properly, they're going to last just fine on that. You're not going to have to worry about that. If you're keeping them in your cold storage and everything else, you'll be just fine. So don't worry about the 48 hours. Obviously, you want to try to hit it in between there. Best for 24, but 48 hours, you're okay, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So setting up your schedules to make sure you're scheduling your harvesting right times, you're planting at the right time, probably more important. You want to set a system up. So we started out with a whiteboard and had it all laid out. You can see it's on my past videos when we first started, had a whiteboard that would have been just right to my left here. This was kind of our planting area over here. Now it's racks of microgreens, so that doesn't work. But we had a whiteboard over there with all the crops listed, when they were getting planted, what day they were getting planted, how many were getting planted, and I had to change that board out obviously every week. Once you were done planting, you had to change it out, get ready for the next week, make your plan, see what your orders were, all manual work and everything else, which can get tiresome. So we went to a spreadsheet. I developed a spreadsheet on how to do this, which is very intense of making a spreadsheet, and you have to be 2 weeks ahead on the spreadsheet when you're planting. So because of the 10-day cycle, you got to be basically 2 weeks ahead to make sure you know what you're going to plant on that. So that became to the point where it worked great at the lower volume. And then once you got into a bigger volume, you needed a program. So we use Seedleaf is our program that we use. Been using it for over a year and a half. Basically, when it first came out, we used it. Yeah, it's been about a year and a half now. Love it. Just got to put the orders in now because all our seeds are in there, our crops are in there, our products are all in there already. That doesn't change that often. So when that's all in there, if you add something new, you can add it pretty easily. And then you just got to put any new orders in you got and tell it what you are needing for that product. If you need 10 peas, you need 12 sunflowers, whatever you need. You just put it in there, and it's going to tell you when to plant that product, when to harvest it, when to water it, when to take it out of shelves, all that stuff. Very, very simple product. And the price is very good. I think it's $134. Jessica probably type in to the chat exactly what cost it is, and we do have a discount code. Links in all the description of our videos, and you get 30% off for the first year. So it's under $100 or right at $100 for it. Great program for the price. Don't tell Chris over at Seedleaf, but it probably should be more expensive than that because it does a great job and very good for starting out. And Andy, can you talk about how you started and where you're at now?
Yeah, and real quick, just before, Chris Thoreau, if you don't know who he is, he's the guy who actually put together Seedleaf. He's a very well-known microgreen grower and just farmer in general. So he's got tons of awesome content out there on YouTube as well. So feel free to try and find his stuff. But yeah, Seedleaf is an awesome program. I've watched demos of it a few times. But the way we actually got ours set up is that me having a software background, I was able to basically write our own internal program that we use to manage everything. So it's super, super, super detailed, all the way down to the seed lot is tied directly to an actual planting, tied directly to a package. It goes pretty in depth, but it's just because that's how we wanted it to be. I actually demoed our software to Chris at one point to, hopefully basically give him some ideas to build into Seedleaf as well. So hopefully he'll, implement some of those things over the long run. But yeah, it's an awesome piece of software from what I'd seen. But as a custom programmer, it's tough for me to walk away from the ability to change whatever I want. So we kind of went that route, and it's worked out really well for us, which is great. So it's definitely we actually wrote the software before we even started to make sure that it was 100%. It did everything we wanted it to do, and we were tracking way more stuff back then than we do now. We tracked how much water we gave each thing, physically where on a shelf a tray was sitting. It was way too much info. But it was good to start because we needed to learn everything. But as time went on, it just became very tedious. So we pulled a lot of that stuff out. But yeah, it's been great. I mean, that's literally why we're able to expand the way we are, for sure. Because it's just, we know the system's solid. We know it's going to do what it needs to do. And I can have, any of my employees can pick it up really quickly, and they know exactly what to do even if I'm not here, which is awesome. So definitely a huge bonus.
That is great. Yeah, Seedleaf's reason why we've got to expand because I'm not spending 3 hours a week on doing a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it is when you're running a business with just two people. You got to have something. So yeah, it's definitely allowed us to expand and do stuff and not have to worry about that. That's for sure. So you would say you'd recommend a program, some kind of program, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. If you can, I mean, I know there's a lot of big growers out there that are still even using whiteboards and Excel sheets, which is definitely possible. There's nothing against that if you can't afford software or whatever. But I mean, it's a very worth your money. If you go down that road, you're going to see how much better it is, how much easier it is. It's all ready for you. I don't know if Seedleaf has the capability or not, but I know in ours, like I can, put in a catering event that's 5 years from now and completely forget about it. And 2 3 weeks before that catering event comes up, it automatically shows up in my software. We know we need to plant. It tells me how many seeds I need to use and everything else. So
Exactly.
I mean, it's awesome to have that. It's peace of mind, because you're not going to forget anything by accident. You're not going to accidentally not give somebody something. It's already in there. It's clear as day. I mean, it's the way to go. Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, the name of the person is Chris Thorough. Thorough.
Yeah, thorough.
I just typed it in there. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, he's well known. You can look him up on Facebook. He's in the groups all the time and stuff. So he was a grower, so even more important to me that it's a program from a grower. They understand what we go through. Yep. Make sure you're staggering your harvest so that way you have consistent flow. That every 10 days you have that. Every 7 days you have something coming out, or 14 days, or 21 days, or 28 days, depending on the growth cycle that has come out. So you definitely want to make sure you have consistent stuff coming out that you need to harvest every week to be able to deliver it. So focusing on quality and consistency. You definitely want to have quality products and deliver high fresh quality microgreens that build your strong reputation. If you deliver bad products, people are going to know about it. They're going to talk about it. And if you're delivering to restaurants, chefs are going to know about it. They're going to tell the other chefs, and you're going to have a problem. If you're delivering a quality product, then they're going to all talk about you in the good way. And then you're going to build your business through word of mouth, and people are going to hear about you. They're going to have the distributor come up to you at the farmer's market and say, hey, people are wanting your greens over what we're getting in our distributing facility right now. We need to talk. And yes, that's a real story that happened at the farmer's market. So with us. So you give good quality products out there, they're going to know about you. You're going to get more business and everything else. So consistency, high quality products, and pay attention to your products packaging. Presentation, if you're going to a grocery store or a farmer's market, is key. People shop with their eyes. They're going to see stuff. Color's going to attract their attention. So make sure you have good packaging that's going to hold together, not flimsy, not cheap, but not too expensive, but good quality product and good quality labels. I know Andy has got good quality labels, good quality packaging, everything else. Andy, you got a picture. You can show a picture of your labels, right?
Yeah, so we actually design and print ours in-house, so that way
As
we
we
can
do.
make modifications as, oh, good. Yeah, so we can make modifications as needed. We can put custom price tags on, each label. So if we're selling at a grocery store and they want to do $5.99, versus $6 or whatever, we can set that up for them. But I printed out kind of a sheet for a sample. So this is like for our broccoli. So at the top, it's got the price, really clear as day. Our logo, just the name of what it is. Our location, saying that it's basically local and fresh. Then we have the weight down at the bottom there. We have this little space here for putting in the expiration date. And then basically just, says real quick notes about it. And then, obviously you definitely want to have on your labeling without a doubt, you want to have it say, wash before eating. And we also put that ours is tamper resistant. And then we also have the UPCs that we got through GS1 on there, and just some basic contact information so they can reach out to us. And this label actually wraps around. So I brought a little thing of speckled peas here. So it actually wraps around the front there. So you can see this kind of curls around up to the top. And then this is actually a tamper resistant container as well. So they pull this off. And then once that's pulled off, they can actually use that label as a hinge almost, for opening and closing the package. So this is kind of what it looks like with the date stamp on there. This is a sacrificial one that I pulled out of the fridge. It expires, this week. So I'll just eat it later today. But yeah, that's kind of the general idea of what you want to have on your labels. There was one other thing I forgot too. Oh yeah, keep refrigerated. You definitely want that to be on there. Keep refrigerated and wash before use. And then that way they're not just going to put it on their counter at their house and have it go bad. And wash before use. We tell people, personally, don't bother. But we have it's just for liability purposes. It's a good idea to have it on there just in case.
Yeah, you want to have it on there for liability purposes for sure.
Yeah.
Whether what they do when they're there or what, I just tell them, hey, we harvest above the soil line. It's a clean product. You make your own decision. We have to put it on there.
Yeah, and going back to what you were talking about with the distributor showing up at the farmers market, I mean, if you guys can, if there's local hospitality shows and things like that that you can get into in any way, shape, or form, try and do that. Or if there's anything where you're able to actually get in front of grocery store owners or buyers or restaurant managers or whatever. We went to a show in January, and at the very end of the show, we had a chef come up to us. Now they're getting like $300 a week in microgreens, but then he also introduced me to his distributor who was buying really awful microgreens from a place on the other side of the country. And now we've taken over that account as a result. So, just going to that one show led to two pretty large accounts. So just make sure you're out there, make sure your quality is top notch, because that's what attracted, those people to us at our table. And there's also a grocery store that we got into not too long ago where they had many microgreen growers come in and ask them, to be in their shop. And we got in because of our labels, because of our packaging, because of our website and how professional everything looked. That was the only reason they even gave us the time of day. So literally the quality is what got us in the door. So just keep that in mind as you're going through the process.
Yep, having your things already set up, your label looking good, your UCP code on it, the worst before you eat, harvest dates, whatever, expiration dates, you have all that stuff set up ahead of time and they come to see your products, they're gonna be like, what you're doing. We had that with one grocery store. Another grower was trying to get in at the same time we were one. And he goes, I don't have to train you guys on how to do stuff. I have to train this guy. So we'll go with your products.
Yep.
And that's one of our largest grocery stores. We got one single grocery store. So.
Yeah. And I can tell you from, having a retail store, because we do here as well on top of the farm, having UPCs on your products is huge. Because all I have to do when everything comes in is update the quantity of whatever I've got in my inventory, and that's it. I don't have to print out a UPC or throw something on there, because when somebody's checking out, especially in a grocery store, you don't want them to have to sit there and find the product in a giant list of tens of thousands of things that they have in their store. So the UPCs are definitely humongous if you're trying to get in the door. They'll cost a lot up front. Unfortunately, I think 100 UPCs, at least through GS1, was like $700 and something dollars. But
you can get them cheaper
after that. The first year, yeah, I know you definitely can. After the first year, I think it's like 100 to 150 for the rest of the time per year. So, but yeah, I know there's cheaper options out there. I just didn't research them when I did it. Unfortunately,
upcs.com, I think. Jess Oz back in there. Can you put that link in there? And go ahead and type how much it is. I didn't know it's very cheap, and that's all you need. You don't need the fancy ones. It's more expensive. You don't need to pay for all that stuff, everything else for what we're doing.
Yeah. And just one thing to keep in mind is each size of your packaging has a separate UPC. So don't think that you're getting one UPC for all of your broccoli, one UPC for all of your peas or whatever. If you sell 2 ounce, 4 ounce, 8 ounce peas, they're all going to have separate UPCs. So just keep that in mind when you're getting what you're getting. And also keep in mind, you don't need a UPC for stuff that you're not selling in a grocery store or another retail store. So don't bother buying the extra UPCs just for like your half a pound or whatever that you're never going to sell in a grocery store. So just keep that in mind when you go through the process too.
Yeah, and get a different one for your broccoli and your broad peas and different sizes as well through there. So depending on how much you got that. Yeah, so UPC codes at that link there, $3 per code. So you got to buy them in packets of 10, so $30. Pretty good price.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. Once you've got your business going and you're growing and you're consistent with everything with your grow, obviously you're going to want to expand your stuff and get new offerings in there and go to amaranths and beets and cilantros and the harder growth stuff. We recommend doing peas, sunflowers, broccoli, salad mix, and radishes to start with. And then you expand from there and get the more difficult ones as you go along. But I got videos on that. You can check them out as well. But you're going to want to expand the new varieties and blends, the diverse section. That's where you're going to get into the restaurants more, and you're going to be able to charge more and stuff like that. So, and then consider your market, your feedback from your farmers market. So this is why I say markets are very important, because customers, you're going to see what they're buying, if they're coming back and buying the same thing, stuff is moving, what they're wanting, and what the market is telling for. So I believe in farmers markets. just for that alone, when you expand your products alone, you can find out what people like and what they don't like and what they come back and buy. They may buy it one time. If they don't come back and buy it again, it's not a good product. But yeah, so expanding your product range, how did you do that, Andy?
We kind of did similar to what you guys did. We started out with a lot of the basics, and then over time added on additional ones. Once we felt comfortable growing some of the more challenging ones, we worked into like corn and sunflower, which I mean, I know it's not super difficult, but it's difficult enough, especially as a first timer. Then we just kind of worked our way through. And if we bought a small pack of seed and we really struggled with it, we said, nope, not even going to bother. We figured we'd come back to it later on. So, as time went on, we started working ourselves into some of the more advanced stuff that, like restaurants are looking for. I mean, originally we were more home-based, subscription-based, and it wasn't really worth growing like the bull's blood and the cilantro and stuff like that we'd have to sell for more money because their chances are they're not going to pay it. Once we felt comfortable and really good at growing everything, then we started working into the stuff that chefs would be looking for. And that was really the idea behind all that. So we just, basically would trial run things for a couple weeks. We wouldn't put it out that we were even selling it. And there's certain things that we haven't even added to our list yet because we're still working on trying to get them right. Because it's a lot to figure out. I mean, how many seeds, per tray. If you're lucky enough to have great friends like Mike here and great friends like Robert, you can reach out to them and say, hey, how do you guys plant XYZ? And they can tell you. It's definitely good to have a good network of people that you can reach out to whenever you need help with something, for sure. That's the benefit of a lot of these microgreen groups as well. But yeah, we slowly keep adding one every once in a while. Got to remember I have 9 employees, so I don't want to overwhelm anybody at this point. So, we add maybe one every 2 to 3 months until we get it down. And then once we feel good about it, we move on to the next one and try a different thing. But each time it just adds more complication because things, need different amounts of water and different ways of planting. I mean, there's so many little variables that are in there. And that's also in my software, which is nice. There's an automated thing that tells you exactly how to plant it and water it, which is cool. So, but yeah, it's definitely interesting when you're adding new stuff, for sure. It can be complicated.
But Andy did make a good point there. Make sure that when you start growing a new product, say you're growing bull's blood beets, make sure it takes 2 to 3 weeks to grow. Make sure you grow it a couple times in there before you're offering it. And make sure you can grow it and you're getting consistent yields on it. Then offer it to people. Obviously, if you're growing it, you got some, you can take it to a farmer's market, take whatever you have, and you can start building there. But don't send it out to restaurants or wherever and try to sell it and say, hey, I can do this product every week. Because if you fail, that's bad. They're probably not going to come back to you, especially if you get a new account and you're not able to supply to them. If it's an account you had for years, you can probably get away with it, but you still don't want to not deliver to them. If you don't deliver to the farmer's market, no big deal. You just don't have that product. So that's the best way to introduce new products. For us anyway, that's what we do. That's what I would recommend. Farmer market people are way more forgiving than what a restaurant's going to be. They got their menu planned out. They need the product.
Yep, totally agree. And obviously the longer grows, every time you make a mistake, you got to wait 3 to 5 weeks potentially to find out if you did it right. So do a lot of trial and error before you push it out there, because it'll definitely come back to bite you if you don't.
Yes. And don't start with beets and cilantros and stuff like that, amaranths, arugula. Yeah. Don't start with that stuff, because then you don't build your confidence. Start with peas, sunflowers, broccoli. Build your confidence of how to grow, and then you can expand from there. I see so many people like, what's wrong with my beets? Well, what have you grown before? This is the only thing I've grown. Okay, well, you need some more experience first. Get some experience underneath your belt, how to grow, get some confidence, and start with the small crops. You didn't start in 12th grade. You started in kindergarten. Same thing.
Yep. Yeah, that's a perfect reference.
So, yeah, scale up strategically as demand grows, consider expanding your production, all that stuff, investing in automation. There's some automation out there. Automatic watering, I think, is the last thing I would ever do for microgreens, because they're just so fickle on how they water and everything else. I know, Andy, you started experimenting a little bit with automatic watering and then kind of went away from it. Same reason, because it just...
I dabbled with it a little bit, and then the biggest thing was when I realized it was going to be about $13,000 to buy all the deep trays that I would need for all the racks that we have, and I was like, yikes. So we decided against that. Yeah. I mean, but like Mike said, I mean, it's very every tray is different, and literally I mean that. And it's, you could be watering 5 amaranths in a row, and one of them needs a little bit more water than the next one, and you can tell, because you do it so many times. You pick it up, you can, just recognize the actual weight, of it, and go, okay, this one feels light, it needs a little extra. This one feels heavy, it needs less or none. Potentially. Don't feel like you have to water the plants every single time. There's definitely days that we don't water several plants because they just have too much water already. So, just that's what makes it tough. I mean, even Dave from Micro Acres is watering 1,500 trays a week or whatever every single day. He's still doing it manually, and it's because of that. And that's also what helps, you get a quality product, because ultimately, if you end up screwing up your watering, you're killing a lot of your plants, especially the delicate ones like the bull's blood, the amaranth, the cilantro. They're going to all drop dead within 48 hours if you make a mistake. So, definitely. That would be one of the last things on my list too, and it would have to be perfect for me to want to use it without a doubt.
Yeah. And I would start with peas, sunflowers first. Again, start with the easier ones to water, and then build up from there. Same concept.
Yep.
But yeah, I've seen so many people that do automatic water and it doesn't work out. They try it. They try to go there first for automation. For us, our first automation we're going to look for is tray filling soil machine, which we're talking to a company right now about that. So we just cycle the soil through, fill the tray with soil, speed up your planting. Because right now it takes us 7 to 8 hours for planting on Friday. And most of it is filling the soil trays. Yeah. That's 90% of the time frame. So we could cut that dramatically down if we had a machine that could fill in real fast for us. So that's the first place we're going. Andy, do you have any thoughts on what automation you would go through first?
Yeah, I would probably honestly, I agree with you on the soil for sure. I think that can be sped up on our end, because I know the method you guys use. I definitely want to incorporate that at some point, because I think that'll make things so much faster. Because really, like, filling the soil isn't so bad. It's leveling the soil that takes a while. Yes. On our end, we do it by hand, and it's just super slow. But I think my first thing that I would probably go for would be an automated harvesting machine, honestly, because then you can push through so much in a very short amount of time. I mean, you look at the big guys like the farming turtles and those guys, that's what they're using. They're harvesting thousands and thousands of trays every single day. So it's definitely a nice plus. And they probably have both machines, would be my guess already. But I know there's a couple of people out there that make both, in different ways. And, probably the only other thing I would consider is maybe some kind of a commercial dishwasher, or I've seen a couple of guys working on automated tray washing machines and things like that. That'd be super nice. That definitely chews up a lot of time, as you can see. I mean, there's another rack behind me that's further over. It's also full of trays that all got washed today. So it's a lot, it's a lot of time. I mean, you really have to figure out where's your time being spent the most. And it's definitely washing trays, planting, and harvesting, hands down. So if you can find ways to automate that, go for it.
Yeah, second would be a tray washing, a dishwasher, something like that from us would be the second thing. For sure, I just picked up 340 more trays yesterday from another grower, and I have to clean them all before we put them in production. So it's a lot, plus on top of it's almost 700 trays we do every week that I have to clean. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of trays to clean this week. So I might be thinking dishwasher first after this week.
Yeah.
Yep, but to ensure your growth is manageable and financially viable as well. We have grown our business completely debt-free. We use zero debt to build our business. So we return our profits back into the business, give ourselves a little bit of salary to live, and that's it. And we continue to build our business that way. So just turning everything back in, be able to, when a grower goes out and they got a deal of basically half off stuff, you can go buy that. If you need to expand, you got to buy more racks because you've got more orders coming in. You can go do that. You just keep that money in the business so you can keep expanding. That's how we built our business, completely debt-free. I think, Andy, pretty similar on that as well.
Yep, debt-free. I mean, we bought what we needed to get started, and basically we've allowed the business to pay for itself as we've grown. We're right on the edge of being profitable, which is great. Only being open really heavily in 1 year. But a lot of that is because I have so many employees. But the thought was I'm trying to plan for the future, because I've got 9 people, 2 of which are full-time and 7 are part-time, that I could bring up to full-time anytime I needed to. And they're already properly trained. They're ready to go. So it's a little more expensive than it probably needs to be. But, if we land one big account and we double or triple what we're doing already, it would definitely be handy to have people that already know what they're doing, so I don't have to spend time on training them. So that's kind of our
Yes.
our thought process as far as how we're trying to manage the business. So, but yeah, it's we're definitely getting close to getting to that point. I'm lucky enough to have a wife who does very well at her job, so I can do this and not have to be super concerned. But yeah, I mean, I'm paying myself $1 an hour right now, so
Big bucks, big
yeah,
bucks.
I'm looking forward to doubling my salary hopefully in the next couple months. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
and that's the way Andy's going because that's his plan is to grow it big and fast as possible. So he's got his employees ready. He's got a low salary for himself, anything like that. We got a low salary for ourselves. If you see what we pay ourselves, you'd be surprised. It's very low. It's enough money to live, pay our bills and everything else. But we don't have employees to pay or anything like that. So we can turn that money back into the business instead of employees. But we do need to start getting employees here very soon. So we'll have to look at that as well. So,
yeah, I mean,
but
it
yeah,
definitely is a huge time saver for sure. I mean, I didn't touch any of these trays; they were all washed today by somebody else while I was planting, moving things out of blackout. So we're basically getting two huge jobs done at the exact same time, for minimum wage basically to pay somebody. So yeah, they're definitely worth their weight in gold when you find good people, without a doubt. I have an awesome team. I can't complain at all.
awesome. Yeah, it's good to have them, and I like the way you've done it. I know you were one of the people I looked at years ago, and seeing you moving into that space and everything, and painting the walls and getting everything set up in there and everything that you're posting. I was like, I want that space. We just can't find one here.
Yeah,
All right, have one.
here a lot longer. It's only been 1 year, and I'm already ready to move out of here.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the
definitely.
thing. When you go and plan for something,
Yes.
it's a good point. Like you're going to have a 3 to 5 year lease that you're going to have most likely.
Yep.
So you want to plan the space for that growth period too. Andy's dealing with that now. He needs to grow, but he's got a lease, and he's trying to figure all that out.
Yeah, I mean, we moved into this 2,000 square foot space. We had 6 racks that we were using in our house, and that was April of last year when we moved into here, and we've multiplied the size of the farm by 5 in 11 months, which is insanity. So that's why I did not anticipate that growing as fast as it did.
Yes,
But we're in
it's
a
a good
lease
problem.
until March of next year, so we either have to find somebody to take this space over to where we can, break our lease and have somebody else immediately take on the lease that's here, or we find someplace else and we break our lease, which is not an ideal scenario because it usually costs you money to do that. So just yeah, I mean, if you're moving into a space and you can afford it, get bigger than you think you're going to need. I mean, we're in 2,000 now. I'm looking at 5,000 now to move into, mainly because we'll be dwarfing the inside of that huge place. But I want to have the space to grow because it's probably going to be a 5 year lease, almost guaranteed. So I'm going to be stuck there for 5 years. I want to make sure I've got enough room to grow significantly. And even if we fill that space out, I mean, if we can fill out 5,000 square feet, we'll be doing absolutely phenomenally well. So I won't complain at all. But
That'd
right
be a
now,
good problem to have
yeah, be a great problem to have.
for
So
sure. Yep, talking about growth and everything else, you want to monitor and adapt where you're at. So tracking your sales, keeping good records of your sales in detail. So using a program from that, we use QuickBooks from the very beginning for that. But you can simply use a spreadsheet tracking who you're selling to, where you're selling to, what kind of are they, restaurant, distributor, home delivery, farmers market. Keeping good detailed records of where your sales are and what you're selling to them is highly important for looking back and tracking and be able to build your business. Tracking your customer feedback, any records from your customers, any preferences, any feedback evaluating the performance of the microgreens. You always want to ask questions. Hey, how do you like that product? Did you like that carrot that I dropped off to you? Did you like anything like that that you've got going on? Is there any dislikes that you have the products you're getting? Are they lasting long enough for you? Ask them questions when they go to the farmer's market, or if they're in your home delivery. Ask that questions every once in a while, and make sure that they're happy. If there's any changes you made before you lose them, especially at home delivery, maybe they didn't like something with it. They didn't like the time you're delivering, whatever. Ask the questions ahead of time so that way you don't lose that business, and hopefully you can fix it before that. Use all that information to define your strategy and refine your business as you go forward. That's what we do. We ask questions and make sure customers are happy and what they're liking the products or if they're not liking the products. I know Andy probably keeps detailed tracking sales records.
Yeah, not as good as I should though. I mean, we use Square, to do all of our sales for the most part, which is really nice because you can go in and pull reports on everything.
Yep.
So what's cool about that is when we have a grocery store or a new little shop or whatever reach out to us, we will basically we have a report that we can show them to say these are the top six or whatever that we're selling everywhere, between the farmers market, between the store, between all the grocery stores and whatnot. So it's really easy for us to show, hey, our data backs the fact that these are going to be popular in your shop. I'm not going to go to them with like purple kohlrabi or red acre cabbage or something that's not going to sell well. I'm going to go to them
Yep.
with the broccolis and the sunflower and the spicy salad mix and the radish and peas and the things that are flying off the shelf everywhere we go. But to go on Mike's point as well, one thing you want to ask too is like, how are they using them?
Yeah.
Because you never know. I had somebody come in one time and they had actually used radish. They chopped it up real fine. They mixed it in with salmon, and made salmon burgers that had microgreen radish right inside of it, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So you never know. I mean, and then that's another thing you can pass on to somebody if they say, "Well, how do you use the radish?" "Oh, you're not going to believe this. This one customer. This is how they did it." And I always ask them to send me pictures, as well, so that way you've got a testimony that you can basically post anywhere on social media to show,
Yeah.
hey, this is how this customer is using this particular thing. It's just a great way to have easy content that you can put together. And what it does is it shows, the customers that are thinking about using you, oh wow, that's cool. This person used it on this thing that I eat every day, and that'd be a great easy way for them to incorporate it into their diet as well. So yeah, just some things to think about.
Definitely. Yeah. If you can get customers' feedback on how they're using the products, that is great. And if you can get pictures from them,
Yeah.
even better.
And save all of them because you're never going to know, when you're actually going to need some of those pictures to show somebody else. I mean, I've done numerous, presentations and stuff, and I love having the pictures from my chefs and from just general people, that I can show in those presentations, because that's really what gets their interest is when they see, oh wow, that's a steak and it's got whatever on top of it, and that's what I would do with it. So it just piques their interest really well when they see the colors and everything. So yeah, definitely keep.
Yeah, they're definitely more than just a topping, just a
Yeah.
garnish. So you can use them in your cooking and stuff and everything else. So definitely for that. Yeah, just remember, when you start a business, it requires dedication, hard work, and continuing learning. Um, if you hear somebody on social media or somewhere around here that says that microgreens are my passive side business, it's a lie. This is not a passive business. There's nothing passive about it. It's work, just like anything should be, that's any good. So it's going to take hard work, dedication to this. Even if you're doing it in a side gig, you're going to farmers market on Saturdays, you still got to water daily. You still got to harvest them. You still got to plant them. There's still stuff to do, but there's going to be daily tasks that's going to happen in this business. So not that it's not a rewarding business and a fantastic business to get into. Obviously, we both have built a great business out of this. Andy's got employees, so he can take time if he needs it, get a day off,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So,
Nice.
there's ways of doing it so you can do that. But in the beginning, it's going to be hard work. In the beginning, I'm sure Andy didn't take any time away. He was doing it himself, and everything else. So just remember that and stay passionate about your products, provide excellent customer service, and adapt your growing needs and ensure your success in your microgreen business. And I wish you guys all the best success you can in this business. And we are here to help you out in growing this business. Andy, any last few comments?
Yeah, no, I mean, and just so you guys know, I mean, Mike and I are both doing this, and Robert as well, who couldn't make it today, but we're all doing this full time. I mean, we don't have other jobs at this point. So to get to that point, it's scary to make that jump. And when you first start, you're going to be like, wow, this is really easy. It's not that hard because it isn't that much work to begin with. But over time, you definitely will spend a lot of time, that you have to invest into keeping everything moving, because you're basically holding every single hat. You're HR, you're head of sales, you're head of the farm itself. It's just every single thing that you could possibly be as an employee and an employer you're doing, because it's your business. So just keep that in mind as you're going forward. It can be done for sure, but if you're not organized, you're not focused on customer service, you're not focused on quality, you might as well not even bother, because those are super key, to your success. And the biggest thing is just maintaining contact with all your customers, making sure they're happy, and that's just a huge piece of it. But it definitely can be done. It definitely can be done.
Awesome. All right.